In this lesson, we are going to use conditional statements to check the current time and customize a dynamic message that's going to be output to the user. We need to set up an element container for that output using a variable called output using document query selector. We're going to select the element with the class of output, and this is where we're going to output the contents of our message. So whenever the button gets clicked, we're going to run and invoke the function called show output, and that we have over here, and we're going to take that value of the date. We need to set up another variable in order to contain that value. We can call it cur for current. Taking the date object, we can get the hours that are available within that date object, and as we saw, that's going to return back value of 17 or whatever the current time is. Also setting up a blank message that we can use in order to contain any messages that we want. So next thing we want to do is we want to set up and try that out. So if cur is greater than 17, then it's going to be evening. So that means it's after 6 p.m. and our message will now say message, and we can say it's. We also need to apply some additional conditions. We're going to check to see if the current value is greater than 12. And we know that if it's already greater than 17, then it will run and message will be equal to it's evening, and then it will finish off that condition. But this is if the current value is greater than 12. So that means it's going to be between 12 and 17, or 18 actually, because 18 is where the cutoff is. And we're going to check to see if it's the afternoon. And if it is, then the message will say it's afternoon. And then lastly, we'll do one more check to see if the value of cur is greater than 0. And if it is, then we know it's morning. So adding in message, and we can say it's morning. And if we don't pick up any of those values, then what we're doing is we know that something went wrong, and hopefully this doesn't happen. So we can say something is wrong. And then lastly, let's take that message and we'll update the inner HTML. And we're using HTML because we're going to use the h1 tags, adding in message variable, and then closing off the h1 tags. So let's try it out. So the current time we saw it's 17, so it currently is evening. And you can also within the console output whatever the current time is, so that we can double check and make sure that we are getting the current time. So we see that it is 18. So before we finish off, just do a quick overview of the logic here. So what we're doing is we're getting the date object. We're getting the hours that are associated with that date object. So we know it's going to be anywhere from 0 to 23. And then we come into the condition, checking to see if it's greater than 17. So that means that if it's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, then it's evening. And if it isn't evening, so if it's not greater than 17, we know that it's less than 17 or less, and it could potentially be afternoon. So we check to see if it's greater than 12. So that means that anything 1 p.m., so such as 13, 14, 15, 100 hours, 16 and 1700 hours is going to be afternoon. And then also if it's not afternoon, we know that it's morning. So we check to see if it's greater than 0. And if it is, then we know that we've got a time and it's sometime in the morning. If our criteria isn't met anywhere along the way here, we know something's gone wrong and we're going to put the message of something is wrong. Try it out for yourself. And in the next lesson, we're going to extend on what we've learned in this lesson and build out some more functionality with the date object.